Listen up, I'm about to get dope.
What's going on? It's time for another episode of Too Hard for the Radio, transmitting from the future-free state of Greater Idaho. I am the one-armed madman, and back with us today, we got from the Badlands of Southern Montana. It's Nolan 5150 in the house.
Yo.
Looking like Keanu Reeves and Scanner Darkly. He told me that the internet was crappy because of wind. I didn't believe him, so I looked it up on my weather app, and you know, either the weather app is wrong or you know, your internet just blows.
Well, I'd say probably both are accurate.
Yeah, right. Well, shit, man, a lot's gone down since we've last spoken. But first, I've got a little, I've got a little update on a little, confrontation I had today. So during COVID, for people who were listening early on to the show, I had to go to the hospital a lot during COVID and a lot towards the end of COVID. I was having multiple surgeries and they're doing different things. So I had to go in today. And long story short, the first spinal cord stimulator I got failed. The test worked great, so they put one in and it failed. So they go, oh, we're going to put this paddle in. It'll be much better. We've got to take a little bit of bone out, but don't worry about it. So now they do that. My neck's fucked for life. And the other night I go, this fucking thing doesn't feel like it's on. So I go to turn it up and it's like, nope, sorry, can't do that. So I go in there today to get the thing adjusted. And I get to the front and I'm looking around. I'm like, God damn it. They still got COVID shit going on. I know it. Nobody was wearing masks, but I just tried walking straight through. And this fucking woman, man, it's like I've said early on, it's always fucking white women. Always. And this white woman, she's just sitting in the middle of the hallway, like blocking the entrance with a clipboard. And I just try walking. She, no, sir. And she's freaking out. She's like, you have to sign in before you go in. And I'm like, listen, lady, I've got an appointment with a guy from Abbott. It's not an actual appointment, so you're not going to be able to find me on your system. And she just starts going like frantic. Well, you need to go to the front desk and sign in and da-da-da-da-da. And I just go, you know what? Fuck this woman. And I turn around and I walk towards the front desk. And she's just berating the back of my head. Sir, excuse me, sir. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you can't do anything for me anyways. You just told me I had to go to the fucking desk. So then I start talking to this woman at the desk. She's still yelling at the back of my head, sir, excuse me, sir. And I go to the lady, I'm like, look, I say the same thing. I got an appointment. You're not going to be able to find me. She's like, well, I don't know if I can admit you. And I go, admit me? Like, what are you talking about, lady? I'm going to, we're just using a doctor's office. Well, I go, listen, I'm supposed to be there in 2 minutes. I've kept this guy waiting in previous appointments, and you're really fucking with me right now. I said fucking with me. And I was like, I need to get upstairs, and I need to get past you to do it, so what the hell needs to happen? And she was like, well, and she's like huffing and puffing. She's like, well, we'll just do this. And she like does some shit on the computer, and then gives me this gray wristband. She's like, okay, go ahead. It's like, what the fuck was the point of any of that?
Well,
and
if you don't have your gray wristband, you're not gonna be safe you're gonna infect people or get infected.
And as I'm walking in, the woman is still in my ear. And at this point, I was like, should I go and give this woman a piece of my mind? But at that point, I could tell that it was more annoying to her that I wasn't acknowledging her existence than if I would have gotten a new argument with her. She was just so annoyed that she's sitting here in the middle of the hospital and I wouldn't give her the time of day. Like, respect my authority.
Yeah, you would have satisfied her if you had gotten an argument with her.
Exactly. I would have been playing. My old boss used to do this shit to me, and I didn't figure it out until after I moved there, and I sent him a text about it one time. I was like watching some video, and I was like, there is no, and I posted it on like Facebook or something like that. I was like, there is no better way to make somebody irate than to tell them to calm down. Like, as soon as you tell somebody to calm down, it's just like an immediate invitation for them to go irate. And my boss used to do that shit to me all the time. I go, all right, now calm down. I mean, you fucking calm down. I didn't ask for this conversation. You walked up to me.
Yeah.
But I remember telling my mother, because we would go to these, she was helping me drive. I couldn't drive at the time. I was on too much drugs. And I remember telling her they're never going to get rid of these COVID policies. But before COVID, you could walk right in. Nobody gave a shit. You got somebody that you need to go pick up, fine. You need to, whatever. Just, it's a hospital. And like, if I was going in here to shoot up the hospital, it's a good thing that she, checked out and made sure I had my gray wristband, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So at least then they would know who shot up the hospital.
Exactly. Because you can identify him by the gray wristband.
Uh-huh.
And, so I was right and I was wrong that they were never going to get rid of these COVID policies, because they did get rid of the mask policy. I didn't see anybody in there wearing a mask, but they still have the sign-in policy. And that's something that is like extended over all government agencies at this point. Like you walk into a police station or a city hall or something. Oh, you got to sign in, because signing in makes sure that nobody gets COVID. And, it's the same deal with like TSA. Got to check your shoes. We got to check you. It's like nobody can get anything in their shoes. Like, this is stupid. Stupid. I can never help myself. I always say the wrong thing around the wrong people and just to like start arguments. You know what I mean? So I was at dinner with my mom and her husband, and I can't help myself. And I told her this afterwards. Like, I can't help it. So we were talking about like this whole thing, like TSA, and I was like, they 10 years later, 20 years later, and they're still trying to, scare you about terrorism. And I said something along, and he's like, well, don't you think that it's possible that we don't have any terror attacks because they are doing their jobs? And I went, God, no. Are you crazy? These people are inept morons. Like, look at what just happened with the Secret Service and Donald Trump. Like, fell apart. These people are morons. If there was terrorists that really were hell-bent on destroying America, they'd be walking over the border right now and doing it.
Uh-huh.
And he was just kind of quiet, And it's just like, what? These people scare you into thinking something. And now, and I've told this story on the podcast. When on September 12th, we had an appointment. My family had an appointment in San Francisco. My sister had a doctor's appointment or something like that. And, all over the news, oh, you can't go over any bridges or any buildings. Oh, they're going to keep coming. We haven't figured out the plane thing, and they're just going to keep crashing planes. Not like we're not, profiling every fucking Arab that steps onto a United States flight right now. Like, they were. So they're scaring you to death. And we were kind of like, oh, should we cancel it? And we finally decided, fuck it. We're just going to go. There's 24 hours in a day. It takes you 30 seconds to get over the bridge. Like, are we really going to get hit? Probably not. So we went. Yeah. And nothing happened. We had a great day in San Francisco. Everybody had a great day in San Francisco. San Francisco was a beautiful city back then. And I end up, moving away. We lived in Southern California for years. I get on drugs. I moved back to Northern California. In 2012, I moved back to the city and I start working at a bar on Pier 39. And one day in like 2013 or 2014, they were like, oh, there's a big terror attack. We've got wind of this big terror attack, and we're gonna shut down the pier. And you don't have to shut down, but we really, really suggest that you do. And we kind of, like, me and my boss and a couple of waitresses, we kind of got together and we were like, you know what? Fuck these people. Like, and my kind of thing was like, I'm not gonna, if there is a terror attack, I'm not gonna let them win and be fucking scared. And if there's not, which I don't think there's going to be, we're going to make a ton of money because we're going to be the only fucking bar open on the pier. So we stayed open and nothing happened. And it's like there was a 12-year gap, 13-year gap, and they're still propagandizing people with the same fucking shit. And where have all the terror attacks in America been for the last 20? And another thing I said to him, I was don't you think if they were really foiling terror attacks, they would be falling over themselves to brag about it?
Yeah.
Like, every movie you watch about the CIA, it's like, oh, we do things in secret and we don't talk about it. But yet every time they do something worth talking about, they can't shut up about it. And we lost him. Uh-oh. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I had a little bleep, but I think I'm back.
Anyways, I think that's all I was really going to get into on that. But,
Well, it's like
I got into it with my neighbor again too. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say it's like the assassination attempt on Trump. Somebody was in on it in one way or another. That was not just a random act. You know, and if you believe that, you know, same thing like 9/11 was.
I got a vaccine to sell you.
Exactly. So the overwhelming majority of human beings are fucking stupid and don't have the capacity for rational, independent thought. They just believe what they're told. So, I mean, that's why we're in the situation we're in. So, I mean,
you remember that story we brought up
a
couple... You remember that story from a couple months ago about like the majority of people not having an internal dialogue or internal monologue? You know, just stupid people. I remember after I read that, I was telling my tenant, who's a young kid and he's smart. And I was like, and he was just getting through his apprenticeship and becoming a journeyman electrician. I was like, you got to be prepared that you are going to be surrounded by stupid people for the rest of your life. And a lot of them are going to work with you or for you. And your job, essentially, is going to be to keep these stupid people from killing themselves while also getting work done. And you could kind of just see, he was just like, oh, no, that's so horrible. But you could...
What have I done?
And he was just like, yeah, you're right. Like, this is fucked, man. We're fucked. My neighbor is such a bootlicking fucking liberal. It's crazy. And I like him. He's a nice guy. But, like, some of the things he says, man. Like, we have mosquitoes.
Great guy. Total idiot.
Yeah, total idiot. Like we have mosquitoes here so bad, and they have a truck that comes around and fogs, and he comes out one day all jacked up. He's like, "Hey, did you go on the website and request them to come and fog the neighborhood?" And I was like, "No, why would I do that?" And he's like, "Well, we have mosquitoes, and they'll come and do it if you send them email." And I was like, "You don't really think those things are real, do you? Like they have that there so they can say that." And there he's gone. I don't know if we're gonna have a show tonight. Oh, I can still hear you.
Yeah.
I guess we could just do audio.
It's coming. I think it's coming back again.
All right, we'll just keep it up. As long it's a fucking audio format, anyways, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, so you know, they'll call, and I'm like, dude, you just have so much more faith in government than I do. It's just. I think that this is something that they go, oh, yeah, look, we'll come if you ask us. It's like, no, man. And I told him, I was like, these guys have a schedule. It's not like they just have an open day where they go, oh, this email came in, so we're just going to fill it there. They have a schedule for the entire summer. We're doing this neighborhood this week. We're doing this one. And then we're going to back. Like, there's no way that they have room within their schedule to just do surprise visits because somebody sent an email.
Some asshole,
to me, that is just so fucking stupid, you know? And then we got into it about like the garbage cans. I don't know if I told you about the garbage cans, but like they stopped picking up our garbage. Like you could buy for the entire time, 8 years that I lived here, you could buy your own garbage can from Home Depot and they would pick it up. And then they all of a sudden stopped doing it. And my neighbor's all fired up. You got to get new garbage. They only charge you like $5 extra a month. That's nothing. And I just go, yeah, dude, it's $5 a month this year. It's $7.50 in 2 years. It's $10, $5. By the time I sell this place or by the time I die, I'm going to spend an extra $5,000 on a fucking garbage can. And as far as I'm concerned, we already pay for this shit. Like, why would I have to pay more? My income taxes should pay for this. My sales taxes, my state taxes, my property taxes, taxes. And then you got to charge them again for, you know, disposal fees. And they're going to up the disposal fees. It's like, we pay enough for this shit already.
Yep.
And oh well, they're just doing their job. They can't lift the other ones in there. You know, their machines won't do it. And I go, did they get new trucks this year? Because they've been doing it for 8 years. Something tells me that they're just fucking lazy and they want to milk us for every fucking penny they can.
Well, gas is going up, diesel's going up, so they got to find a way to supplement. And you know,
exactly.
Typical trickles down to the consumer.
Trickle down economics, baby.
You should get like
we'll just
a
raise
big
the taxes on. We'll just raise taxes on the wealthy by 5 times. That won't trickle down at all.
Just a little bit. You should go get.
Yeah.
You should go get like a.
They'll just eat it and go, oh well, we have to pay more taxes now. That's a bummer.
Yeah. No big deal.
On.
We're rich.
Come on.
But you should.
That was another thing I got into my. Go ahead.
You should go get a big bottle of like like Deep Woods Off, bug spray repellent.
Yeah.
Go knock on his door, and when he answers it, just like spray it right in his face. Be like,
yeah,
that'll be.
I got an email saying you had fucking mosquito problems.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. On that note, let's get into the fucking important stuff, the politics. We've got a new president, a new Madam President up and coming, and she has set herself a new VP who I had never heard of until today. I heard the guy's name and I have no fucking clue who that is. And then I looked him up and I know who this piece of shit is. He's the governor of Minnesota. So, he's just been doing great for the past however long Minnesota's just been doing awesome. So this is the first announcement video. I think there's a couple of them, but I think this is the first one. And they put this out themselves. So Kamala Harris tweeted this. Let's do it.
Hi, this is Tim.
It's Kamala Harris. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning, Madam Vice President.
Listen, I want you to do this with me. Let's do this together. Would you
Let's
be my
do it
running
together.
mate and let's get this thing on the road?
Right. That's what she's good at.
I would be honored, Madam Vice President.
The joy that you're bringing back to the country, the enthusiasm that's out there, it'll be a privilege to take this with you across the country.
Privilege.
Well, let me tell you, I have just the utmost respect for you.
She knows
have
nothing
really
about him.
Enjoyed our work together. You understand our country. You have dedicated yourself to our country in so many different, beautiful ways.
Beautiful
and we're going to
ways.
do this. We're going to win. And we're going to unify our country and remind everyone that we are fighting for the future for everyone. So let's get out there and get this done, okay?
Let's do it. Do the work in front of us. Let's win
Let's
this
do
thing.
it.
That's right. All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. Take care. Thank you.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
I do not believe that was a real phone call. I
No.
do not think that there was anybody on the phone. I honestly think she was actually reading off the phone.
Oh, for sure.
And they cut his shit in, because there's at one point where she's just looking down at the phone and she's reading because she's a fucking moron and she can't remember or even have how crazy is it that they have to stage a phone call? They're such disgusting ghouls that they can't even do a real authentic phone call. We have to set it up. We need to put it in the sound. They can't just, let's do a real phone call and talk like actual human beings, because they've never done that before. Anytime that these two have met, there's been some sort of political capital involved. She doesn't know anything about him. He doesn't give a fuck about her. All this is political games, It drives me nuts.
She's
really
been
does.
so insulated.
And this guy's fucking dangerous too. He's a dangerous piece of shit. We'll get into him a little bit more as we go, but unbelievable the things that they choose to present to us.
Yeah, it's like you said, you can't. You're so incompetent. You can't make a phone call, have your talking points, or whatever. That shouldn't even have been talking points. It should have just been
a real call.
Hey, yeah.
Like we're talking. Hey, dude, I got this new podcast. Do you want to be my co-host? Fuck yeah, man. That sounds bad. Obviously not swearing, but just have a real person-to-person conversation without this. How many takes do you think that took?
Oh, probably
5.
Yeah.
She tackled through half of it at least twice. You know, can you imagine her outtakes? They must be incredible.
Yeah, she probably would have felt a lot more comfortable, on her knees in front of him with his penis in her mouth, and then she could have just
absolutely
looked up at him and said,
That's what
"Hey,
she's good at.
Hey, you want to do it? Let's do this."
All right. Well, let's learn a little bit more about Tim Walz, her vice president.
Sometimes life is as much about the lessons you learn as the lessons you teach. When I grew up, community was a way of life. My high school class was 24 people. I was related to half of them.
I bet you screwed.
I learned to be
too.
generous towards my neighbors, compromise without compromising my values, and work for the common good. My dad was in the Army, and with his encouragement, I joined the Army National Guard when I was 17. I served for 24 years. I used my GI benefits to go to college and become a public school teacher. I coached football and taught social studies for 20 years. And I tried to teach my students what small-town Nebraska taught me: respect, compromise, service to country. And so when I went into government, that's what I carried with me. I worked with Republicans to pass an infrastructure bill, cut taxes for working families, signed paid leave into law. I codified abortion rights after Roe got overturned.
Yeah, baby.
Because I go to work for the common good.
Common good.
But enough about me. Let's talk about you. because that's what this election is about.
No, it's
It's about your future. It's about your family. And Vice President Harris knows that. She too grew up in a middle-class family. She too goes to work every day
Canada,
making sure families can not just get by, but get ahead. We believe in the promise of America, in those values I learned in Nebraska, and we're ready to fight for them. Because as Kamala Harris says, when we fight, we win.
Yeah. So my first question for this guy is, if you learned all of your values in small town Nebraska, why the fuck aren't you the governor of Nebraska?
Yes.
Maybe because they don't like your commie ass and they don't want you there. You had to go and move up. He's a Yankee, essentially. Oh, I'm going to, come down from the good old boys in Nebraska and go to a state where I can be a socialist and not have to worry about it. When I see that, I go, oh, okay, so he was in the Army National Guard, which we don't need, for 25 years. He was a school teacher for 20 years, which is another profession that we don't need. And then he went into government for the first time. But wait a minute. If you went into government for the first time, wouldn't that be down, when you turned 18 and joined the National Guard? This guy's never had a real job in his entire fucking life. He's only ever made a government paycheck. That's it. Never worked a real job. He went from the National Guard to a fucking school to a seat in Congress or wherever he went before he made it. This guy is a career, government shill. He is a welfare baby. The guy has never earned an honest dollar in his entire fucking life. Never. And he's a socialist that bounced from his hometown, his home state that don't want him there, and went and spread his bullshit. And, when I went to last time I was in, let's play this video first, and then I'll tell the story. That'll make more sense. That'll make more sense. Here we go.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute.
So for people just listening, he just swapped out the Minnesota state flag with a Somalian flag.
I was wondering what that was.
There, that's better.
That's better.
All right, ready.
That's better.
Whoa, wait a minute.
The United States of Somalia. That's way better. We got it. That's just disgusting. So the last time I was in Minnesota, because I go there, that's where I have my amputation. It's where I get my prosthetics built. I was drove from Minneapolis to Rochester, which is like 50, 60 miles or something like that. I'm going to really look this up because it's going to make the story even better if I look up the actual Rochester, Minnesota. So we're driving, and this guy, he's Somalian because they have nothing but fucking Somalians in that state. And he's my Uber driver. Yeah, here it is. Okay. So we're driving slow as fuck. It's like the speed limit's like 65, 70 miles an hour, and we're going slow as fuck. And at one point, I kind of look, and if I can see it, so I can see his cruise control because he's on cruise control. And I look down, he's doing 52 miles an hour. I go, 50? Why is this guy doing 52 miles an hour? That's fucking weird. And I just, whatever, because he couldn't understand English well enough for me to tell him to speed up. And I look out, and we're on Highway 52. Fucking guy couldn't tell the difference between a speed limit sign and a highway sign. That is a true story. Hand to God. I couldn't believe it. It's like unfreaking real. And, we all remember what happened in Minnesota during COVID and during the Summer of Love. I've got one more video here, and then we'll kind of go over his COVID record. I don't remember what this one is. Let's do it. Wait. Oh, yeah, it's his COVID record. Here we go. Perfect. I did something right.
I just signed Executive Order 20-01, declaring a peacetime state of emergency for the state of Minnesota. We need to stop congregating. We're going to close the bars. We're going to close the restaurants. We're going to close the places where we gather. Several 100,000 of your neighbors were just laid off.
Bragging about it.
An entire industry has been shut down in the face of this, all for the greater good.
Greater
The
good.
governor, with the power of the state constitution behind him, has issued 104 executive orders affecting everything from
104
schools to restaurants and bars to churches to basically every facet of everyday life.
That's 104 executive orders. What a fucking tyrant. Essentially, every public health official in this country laid down an executive order for him to sign, which obviously didn't do anything well for them. It didn't help them out in any ways. It was just, they're just doing what's best for the common good, for the greater good. It's all for the greater good.
Yeah.
Democrats who control the House are moving in the opposite direction. Some are pushing to put a mask mandate in state law.
Hi ho the Dario, I wear a mask to school.
So gross.
It helps
That
to
woman
keep
belongs in
me
prison.
safe.
Explosive testimony from a Minneapolis police union official who says that the governor ordered cops to abandon that 3rd precinct during this spring's rioting.
I was in the command
Belongs in
post. I
prison.
heard it. I heard the governor say, give it up.
At 9:32, Chief Arredondo calls the mayor to tell him they've lost control, can no longer maintain order in the city. And then at 10:13, Chief Arredondo, who's monitoring the scene from a couple blocks away, gets on the radio to announce defeat.
How amazing is it that this guy can just let a building burn in downtown Minneapolis and get a promotion? Yeah. Can you imagine if Nolan, if you burned down your Harley Davidson dealership that you worked at, you think you'd get a promotion for that? I don't, personally.
I mean, depends.
I mean, these people, these government officials, these government, they get away with murder every fucking day. And nobody gives a shit. All they do is get promoted. They just get promoted.
Phone right now in our loss of the 3rd precinct.
Guy should be going to a cell. Instead, he's going to the White House.
Precinct has been compromised.
The mayor said I request the National Guard. Ooh, I'm out. This is great. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks.
Hey, and you know what's funny about, we're going to have massively trained troops. No, we're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks. You know who did better than the National Guard at protecting private property and the rights of the citizens' lives? Kyle Rittenhouse, a 17-year-old who blew that pedo off the face of this earth and is an American hero for it, I wish we could have had more 17 and 19-year-old cooks rather than the National Guard. All the fucking National Guard did was stand down. It's disgusting.
Well, yeah, all the National Guard will do is arrest, they won't do anything about the riots or anything. They're just going to arrest the homeowners. Like, what was that old couple? The old white couple, that got arrested because they were standing out front of their private property with weapons.
Yep. There was a great meme that said Trump's new security, and it had those two people and Kyle Rittenhouse in it. It was fucking hilarious. And I saw another video right after the assassination attempt where there was 1,000 bikers all gathered at this gas station on their way to Milwaukee, and they're just rolling out like, "Hey, we're coming for security. This shit ain't happening again." And
hell yeah.
I don't know about you, but I would sure rather have a group of Hell's Angels watching my back than the Secret Service, especially after something like that. I mean, it's amazing too that he's praised them. It's like, come on, man. They want you dead. Maybe the individual agents around you like you and maybe they're trying their best, but dude, these people want you dead. It cannot be any more obvious than it is right now. It's disgusting. I've got one more video. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if I was him at this point, I would just go private security.
I would private security all the way. Call up Eric Prince. Get me lined up. I think Eric Prince belongs in prison, but since he's not, that would be a good person to start with. Hey, what do I do? What are we going to do here? Because this is clearly not working.
Wasn't Dan Bongino Secret Service?
Yeah. Yeah. And he's been getting a whole bunch of inside info, stand down orders. There's a bunch of weird videos, I've kind of beat it with a dead horse in the last 3 episodes, so I don't want to go over it too much, but multiple people said that the Secret Service smoked somebody on the water tower, which I don't know. I can't really put myself in that place. I've kind of looked over the area from the pictures, and I don't know. Something tells me if there was 2 shooters, Trump would probably be dead.
Yeah, you'd
but
think so.
It's also possible that Crooks never even took a shot, that he was just up there, waiting for the go ahead, somebody else took the shot from the water tower, and then they smoked both of them. We'll never really know what happened. We don't know what happened with Kennedy. So the thought that we're going to know what went down here is ridiculous. You know,
the only truth we'll
we just
ever know
got to get
is
the good
that
people
we'll
in
never...
charge again, Nolan. Once we vote the good people back in, then we can get rid of this nonsense. It's like, no, dude. When my hand was fucking rotting and causing the rest of my body to die, they cut it off. They had to cut off all the necrosis. All the dead shit had to go because that dead tissue spreads and it won't stop. And it'll just keep going and eat you alive. You got to get rid of the dead stuff. Just cut it out. Gone. Nobody can hold the ring. You know? You got to throw the ring in the volcano. Nobody can handle that much power.
Yeah, sick Lord of the Rings reference.
It was a pretty good one, right? Nobody can
that
handle
was
the ring.
That was good.
All right. One more video on this fucking socialist. Here we go.
You can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
Ooh, I love that one. One person's socialism is another person's neighbor. Hey, look, we're not trying to take over your business. We're not trying to institute universal basic income or, a CBDC. We're just being neighborly. We're neighborly.
Yeah. For the greater good.
Do you need to borrow some sugar? Because if you do, we'll throw you in prison. This is crazy. This guy's out of his mind. So we're going to go into Kamala now, and we're going to kind of go under a rabbit hole for a few minutes, and then everything's going to come back together, I promise.
Wait, what rabbit hole are we going into? Which one of Kamala's rabbit holes are we going into?
The loose and flappy one. All right. Have you ever heard it? Judge Joe Brown, right?
Oh, yeah.
The old TV judge. He's the man. Here's his take on Kamala.
She's a piece of shit. I was in California. She lacked professional competence, and she worked on it by hiking up her hemline when she needed influence rather than researching. She's always tried to do the casting couch to get where she wants. Now, the problem is that'll get somebody to a certain level quickly, but you can't get past that level if you don't have competence and talent. So my thing about it is if I'm crude about it, in this city years ago, I used to represent a whole bunch of pimps and hoes, and I know a hoe when I see one. And I say this, I don't care, women, you do what you want to do if you want to have recreational sex, but when you do the casting couch or anything else for professional purposes to get paid or advance, you a hoe. And she's old hoe. And the problem is what is she supposed to do? One of her sycophant slaves comes up and unwraps her in a carpet naked at Putin's feet, and he says, "Oh, yeah, I'm Julius Caesar." He said, "No, ho, I got better stuff here already. Plus, I don't want you anyway, you old woman. Get on up." Or Xi Jinping, is he supposed to be impressed? She's doing word salad. Well, we're here today because China and the U.S. are here today, and that's why we have to agree on what we're doing here today. Like, fool, what did you just say? Did you say anything?
That's a great take. I mean, I couldn't have said it better. She fucked her way to the top, and then once she got there, she couldn't do the work, I've hired a lot of bartenders in my day. A lot. And I've trained a lot of bartenders in my day. And the worst ones are always the hot girls because they get hired because of how they look, and then they can't put in the work. They don't want to clean. They don't want to get dirty. They don't want it to get busy. They just want to flirt it up and make extra trip. They're the worst bartenders in the world. Every once in a while, you find one that's got the looks and the grit, but it's very rare. Like, it's typically like you get a 7 looks with the grit, 6 to 7. You don't really get a 10 and a 10 on that. It just doesn't happen. And, that's over 10 years of experience. Like, I've never worked with a bartender where it's like, damn, she's fucking smoking. And not, like, absolutely hate working with her. Because typically, when you get that smoking hot chick, you're doing all the work and you're splitting the fucking tips.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it works out. Like I used to work with this chick named Kat, who was a badass. She used to work. She was a bad bitch. And she was like good enough looking to where if you got a couple beers in you, she's hot. You know, she's like a 7.5, 6, 7. But you get 2 or 3 beers in and she's hot. And she knew how to play the game too. So like we would do this one thing where when you'd run out of ice, she'd kind of flirt it up and I'd work the well. So I'd be working fast and people liked watching me bartend because I was good at it and I was fast and I had a couple tricks that I would do. And she would just kind of yak it up with the clientele and make us the money. But like the way she would get it was like she brought this to me. She's like, when we're out of ice, you tell me to go get the ice.
Yeah.
Hey, woman, we're out of ice. Get your ass moving. Fucking customers love that shit. But you can't do that with most women because they don't get it. They don't get the dynamic that you're here to make money and you have to play the game the best way possible. All they really care about is making as much money as they can and doing as little work as possible, which seems like a Kamala Harris to me. I'm going to make as much money and gain as much power as I possibly can with doing as little work as I possibly can.
Yeah, I don't know with her. It just seems, I mean, I don't even know if she, I mean, obviously everybody wants to make as much money as possible, but she just kind of seems like a total ditz that is just going to do what she's told.
It's about power. She'll do anything for power. And we're going to, as we get through this, you're going to kind of see what I'm talking about, and we're going to finish it off with a good one. So here she is. This is kind of like the image that they are portraying to the public. This is Kamala. This is what we want to see. This is who you're voting for. This is what you're voting for. Like Judge Joe Brown said, there's not going to be any substance there. It's just going to be cackling and you know, word salad, essentially. So here's another one. I think that's Chelsea Handler, who she's with. Chelsea Handler's the most fucking annoying single woman on the planet. I'm so happy. Look at me chugging margaritas in the middle of the day. You know.
We have to stay woke. Like everybody needs to be woke. and you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah.
I wish there was more cackling because you can tell she's really going on a cackle right now just by the look on her face. But I couldn't get the full clip. But man, she was cackling it up there. I heard somebody say on No Agenda, somebody suggested that her nickname needs to be Cackling Kamala, which is just, I mean, fucking perfect, right? Trump needs to get on that one right away.
Did you see the one? Because it's ironic that she's the border czar. And she selected Walz for VP.
And also she was not the border czar. You're wrong. That is what Republicans were calling her. And I really wish I clipped it because there was this great supercut of like all these MSNBC, CNN hosts being, Kamala Harris is a promoted border czar. Oh, she's the border czar. No, they're just calling her but she's not actually the border czar. Hey, Kamala Harris and it just keeps going back and forth and back and forth. And these people are soulless. They're soulless, disgusting losers. They flipped on. You know what's interesting to me? Do you get a lot of like scam, like texts and emails and calls and shit?
Dude. Okay. So I still have a California number, and it's nonstop, man. It's nonstop, and it's all assuming that I'm a Democrat, and just
isn't it amazing how they went from Biden to Kamala just like that?
Yeah.
Like the day they announced it, Biden, they stopped coming in for Biden and they're just coming in like crazy for Kamala. I could read my last text. I can't read my last text messages, but you're getting the same things. People listening are getting the same things. It's fucking crazy how quick they were just able to turn on a dime and go from just seamless. It was like nothing. It's like she's been the nominee for months. It really is.
Well, it's if you don't think that this has all been in the works and game plan, then also, you're not very intelligent.
All right.
What
so
do they have your, like, do they say Nick in your text? Like they have your name?
Usually they call me a different name. Sometimes they have my name. For a long time I was Wayne. They all thought I was Wayne.
Yeah.
And
mine's Adrian.
That's the alter ego. That's the alter ego I took on for my writing was Wayne.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so like the character in my book's name is Wayne. Because he's me, but he's not me at the same time. So I thought Wayne was perfect for that one. I still have some of the Wayne text messages.
Theory. These are interdimensional text messages being sent from another dimension. You are Wayne.
Ooh, maybe I am. So I don't know if I've told you about this, and I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast. I was going to wait and talk about it with Tim next week, but I'll lay this one on you if I haven't before. So I have you heard of like Philip K. Dick? He's a science fiction writer.
Mm-mm.
So he wrote the basis to Blade Runner and the Adjustment Bureau, and what's that one called? Shit, the one I'm thinking of. Oh no, Philip K. Dick's show. K. Dick's show. We're learning in real time here, folks. This is what happens when your brain doesn't work. This is it. Oh, come on. Nazi show. The Nazi show.
It's
the
not Man in the High
Castle.
Tower.
Man in the High Castle. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah,
so the
I've
Man in the High Castle.
Yeah.
Okay. So just for people who are listening, the basis of this book is that America did not win World War II. Japan and Germany won, and they kind of split America down the middle. So the weird thing about that story, that book, is Philip K. Dick this is not a story, it's a memory. He remembers this as if it actually happened. And he thinks that it's some sort of like you're saying, interdimensional, or maybe like somebody changed something in the simulation that, this was the simulation for a long time and then they changed it and he had these like lingering memory. He doesn't really know exactly what went down. It could be another timeline that is like bleeding through somehow. So I have a memory like that so I remember living in this big house. It was like a big, it looked like a Southern style, like, what are those called? Plantation homes. It was big. It was really big, but only a certain portion of the house was being used to live in. So I was living in this room and I remember exploring the house, trying to find things to steal. Like I was on drugs at the time. And I remember like crawling through all these areas and just going up and down into different rooms, big fucking rooms that had weird stuff in them, but nothing like worth stealing. But I never lived there. I've went through everything, every place I've lived. I have never lived in this place. It doesn't exist. Or does it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
like, this is a memory. Is it a dream that I've had multiple times that is like maybe, I don't know, but it's something fucking weird. So I need to find a weirdo to ask what's going on here, So I'm going to ask Tim about it on Friday, but it's weird. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just a house that I've lived in that doesn't exist. Good luck explaining that, right?
Dude, I think there's something to the whole, like when you sleep and you dream, you go, you transport, your consciousness or something to other dimensions. And like, if we're like the same energy in different dimensions, there's gotta be a wire getting crossed once in a while,
So in my book, they find they are able to use a quantum computer to travel the multiverse. And the first time Wayne goes and uses this machine, the rich people use it to go and murder people in other universes and like go have their kicks and shit like that. So they can just go do it in another universe and then come back, and the person there is the one that gets blamed, not them. But so the first time he uses it, he's gonna wake up in that house.
Nice.
Yeah, not a bad twist. All right, let's get back to Cackling Kamala. This is just kind of a supercut. This went on for like 5 minutes. There is a point to it. We've all heard it, but we'll just listen to it a couple times for the sake of it.
Imagine
for shits
what
and
can
giggles.
be and be unburdened by what has been. What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
What can be unburdened by what has been.
What we can see, what we believe can be unburdened by what has been.
Okay. So I thought this was word salad. I thought that this was like Judge Joe Brown said, this is just some fucking phrase that somebody fed her that she can't get over, and she just, I'll throw that out there when I can't figure out what to say. However, James Lindsay, the great James Lindsay, who's probably the best commenter on communism on the internet, has a completely different take on this.
President Harris will say repeatedly, what is the quote? The quote is that we can see what can be unburdened by what has been. Is that word salad or Marxism? It's Marxism. That is, in fact, not at all word salad. It is a Marxist, as I said on Twitter the other day and got mocked relentlessly by the media for this. I said it's a Marxist incantation, as a matter of fact. It's like a spell. So you can see the possibility of a world that's unburdened from its own history, which is exactly what Mao Zedong did when he launched the campaign of Smash the Four Olds, the four old characteristics of Chinese society. They were going to make a new China that was going to be unburdened by what had been in the past of China. This is what the Soviets, the Bolsheviks, did when they took over power in Russia, is that they were going to make the new Russia. They're going to make the new man, as a matter of fact. People could become unburdened by what has been so that they could see what could possibly be in the terms of a socialist utopia. So, Madam Vice President, when she says that, I assume, given that her father was a Marxist and a professor,
did not know that.
I assume she knows what she's saying, and I don't buy her idiot Valley speak shtick one bit. I think she's far more smart and far more savvy than conservatives have given her credit for, and she is an outright Marxist. It is very, very clear in her language, and that's what the Democrats want to nominate for president.
Hey, and she's got herself a socialist on her ticket. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Like, I don't think that Kamala Harris is a hardcore socialist or a communist. That would require too much like study, and I don't think she's into that. You know, I think that I went to school with a lot of smart people who have zero common sense and cannot really operate in the real world at a level that like me and you can't be really productive. They're just able to regurgitate what they read in books and get themselves a degree. Like, I have family members who are very good at books and are very bad at everything else. Just very, very bad with money. Like, one of my family members, very bad with money, very smart with books, like does not understand that if you move out of California and to Idaho, yes, you may make less money, but you will have less bills. Like, that just doesn't comprehend with her. And, at this point, she's working for Prince Bonesaw on the line. And to me, it's kind of like, okay, well, if you want to work for a fucking disgusting dictator who chops up journalists with a bone saw in order to stay in California, more power to you. We don't need you here.
Yeah.
I don't need that here. We don't need that here. We don't need somebody who works for dictators who it's disgusting to me. And I go, and I don't talk to this person very often because we just don't have a great relationship. But like, to me, this would be a no-brainer. Like, I can't make money doing this. This is disgusting. Like, read a couple. The guy's name is Prince Bonesaw. Like, what more do you need to know? Do you want to work for a guy named Prince Bonesaw? Or do you want to get a real job and live in a nice state like Idaho? Like, it's just crazy to me because it's not a real job. They're printing money and they've got all this oil, so they're able to throw money at this project, but it's not real. I don't think it's even going to be built. I think it's just a money pit. We can toss a bunch of money at this thing, and 10 years from now, we'll say, oops, it didn't work. Yeah, and we'll just rip all the fucking wealth out of it, Yep. I think that the vice president is a bit scarier than her because he seems like he's actually kind of with it. I think she's on drugs. I think she's on benzos. She's taking herself some fucking Xanny bars. She's dropping a fucking a weed brownie, and she's going out and just fucking winging it. Like, this woman is out there. She's wine drunk, What is unburdened by what can be?
Dude,
How about
I
those
heard
school buses? Rockets, they go up so high.
I heard somebody describe her as like, something to do. I can't remember the exact term, but it was something having to do with like wine mom, that they're like always sipping a little wine all the time throughout the day or whatever. And,
yeah.
But that what you just mentioned, about the walls being scarier, just put a scary thought, like, okay, so if there is a shadow campaign, or somehow they're able to actually Kamala's
win.
Actually able to win, and then she's gonna be taken out of the picture right away.
If she loses, her career is over.
Oh no, I'm saying if she's able to win somehow.
I know.
With walls.
I get what you're saying too. But if she loses, her career is over. They're never going to run her again. They have to run her this time. And I think it kind of fits well with my theory that Trump is supposed to get in and they're going to destroy everything around him and teach us a lesson for voting for him. I think that they were fine with throwing Kamala to the wolves. Hey, we'll toss her in here. She'll get beat, and then she's out of our hair. We don't have to deal with her anymore. There's like people behind the scenes who say that she is a fucking cunt, and people hate her. Yeah. Like, she's not fun to be around. Her staff fucking hates her. There was all of these stories back in the day about how she would just rip through staff members like crazy. She's a disgusting person. Like, I think that Lindsay is right in one sense that that conservatives are really underestimating how dangerous this woman is. Yeah. And she may be a dummy, but the people around her aren't,
Yeah.
The people around Trump aren't dumb either. Like, there's some smart people surrounding these people, and they're really the ones that are calling the shots. Kamala's not in charge of anything. She's not good at anything. Like, where's her area of expertise? She can't cut deals like Trump can. She doesn't know anything about foreign policy. She recently said that we have a great relationship with North Korea. It's like, no, bitch, you meant South Korea. You're a fucking moron.
I mean, maybe she has a great relationship with North Korea, with Kim Jong.
Yeah. No shit, right? And Trump made a great point about her recently. He's like, she was Indian, as far as I know, and then a couple years ago, she decided she was black. I don't know. Anyways, I got one more here. This is who I think Kamala Harris really is. I think this clip will kind of really give us an idea of what she's really about.
The power I have as a prosecutor is that with a swipe of my pen, I can charge someone with a misdemeanor, the lowest level offense possible. And by virtue of that swipe of my pen, you will have to go to a courthouse and stand in line. You will have to come out of pocket and hire an attorney. You may get arrested for a few hours. You will be embarrassed in your community. You will miss time from coming onto the Google campus. All because with the swipe of my pen, I've charged you with a crime, which I may choose to dismiss 2 weeks later.
It's an
incredible amount of power.
Incredible amount of power. That's what she's about. She's about power. And she's willing to do whatever she has to get it. She was not a progressive prosecutor. Like, if she was a prosecutor today, she would be one of these progressive prosecutors who are letting criminals out like crazy. She didn't do that. She kept criminals in longer to use them as slave labor. There was marijuana, like 1,000 marijuana people who were supposed to be let out that she kept in to use as slave labor fighting fires for the state of California. There was a guy on death row that she suppressed evidence to keep on death row when it was clear that the guy was in it. She was not a progressive prosecutor. She fucked people up. What she's essentially saying here is, if you fuck with me, I will destroy your life. I will destroy your life. If you fuck with a cop that I like, I will destroy your life. If you fuck with a business I like, I will destroy your life. If you step out of line in any fucking way, if you're bringing your kids late to school, I will destroy your fucking life, which she did. She destroyed parents' lives for truancy, which is just disgusting. They shouldn't be taking their kids to the school anyways. Who cares if they show up late? It's better for them.
Yeah.
I think she's about the power. I think she likes the power. You know, the first thing she did when she got nominated was went out and shoved her dick in someone's mouth on national TV, because that's what she wanted to do. That's what you do when you get a promotion. You go and you shove your dick in someone's mouth. When you go from head bartender to bar manager, you bring all your bartenders in, you put your dick in their mouth, and you get them in line.
You got to show dominance.
Got to show dominance. I might even pee on a leg or two. This is my territory. No, I would come in, like, when I got promoted to, like, bar manager at Players, I brought everybody in. I go, you guys have all been, one of my pet peeves for bartending was you put your bottles in a certain place. Like, it goes vodka, gin, rum, tequila. Those are your 4 wells, and they're lined up that way. Other people, they line them up different ways. They put their simple syrup and everything's a different way. I go, this is done. We're not doing this anymore. This is the way I set up a well, and this is now the way you all set up a well. Because if I have to come and bail your ass when you're too busy and you can't handle your bar, which I do all the fucking time for you losers, I don't want to have to dick around with your fucked up well. So get your well intact. If I come back there to help you, that well better be exactly the way I want it.
Uh-huh.
That's how it is. I'm the fucking boss now. Well, we got 4 minutes. What do you think about Harley? I mean, it's gone big. It's gone viral. What's happening at the shop?
Overall, I think it's hard to say. I think it's good overall. I think it's good that all of this is coming to a head to hopefully get the brand back on the right track. Is best case scenario, get that CEO out of there and hopefully course correct.
The hog Nazi's got to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's too big. There's too many, old school Harley guys that are set in their ways, that have their thoughts and opinions, and this shit is not going to fly. The numbers,
those 1,000 riders that showed up for Trump, aren't going to be going on live wires. They're just not.
Well, live wires. I don't even know what's going on with Livewire, but it's, yeah.
That was the thing that annoyed me the most about the guy's story that he did, is he didn't show the Livewire at all. And that's the end point of all of that woke bullshit that he exposed. He was going through that same handbook that we were going through and just exposing the woke shit, but he didn't say, hey, this is what happens. Look at how much money they spent on a bike that nobody fucking wants. And to me, that's the real story. I don't really care if your boardroom is woke. I don't really care if you have disgusting hiring practices for your corporate structure. That doesn't really bother me if you're going to put out a good product and you're not going to like propagandize me and shove disgusting things down my throat, Mm-hmm. But at this point, man, like all of those policies, every fucking woke asshole in that company, in that corporate room, all of that bullshit ended in the Livewire. And if they're not careful, that could destroy the company. If they don't learn their lesson, imagine if they go, well, you know what we did wrong? We didn't advertise enough, or just something stupid like that. It's not that people don't want the bike. It's just that we didn't shove it down their throats hard enough. And like, that's kind of what, like, okay, you could come out like Bud Light did and sponsor UFC fighters that are talking shit. Or you could sponsor fucking, Shane Gillis, who drinks Bud Light. Like, that's their way of kind of apologizing. Like, how are you going to convince your customers that you are going to turn this business around? And I don't know how they do that. I really don't. I think a dirt bike would be great. And I know I'm biased on this because I'm a dirt bike guy, but I really think they would say, hey, look, we fucked up. We went down a path that you're not comfortable with, and we're sorry. And what we're going to do now is we're going to get these bikes into shops for kids, and we're going to get kids on Harleys early on. We're going to build a 250, maybe build a 2-stroke mini bike, something like Cobra's been building them in the US for years. Like, I think that would be a good, like, bridge. Hey, look, we fucked up. this entire portion of the country that we have been catering to doesn't want our bikes, and it doesn't matter what we do, they're not going to buy them. But we do know that there's a lot of people out there who think this way, and a lot of those people ride dirt bikes as well as street bikes. So look at what Triumph is doing. Like, Triumph's bike is really good. They've been doing really well in the races. Like, they've hole-shotted races. They've won motos. They've had a couple mechanicals, but, you know, that's kind of to be expected. And one of them was just like a wiring harness that kind of went fucky. But like all of the magazines have one now, and they're all testing them, and they're like, it's really incredible that the bike is this good right away. Like that's, to me, is so impressive that they're able to put something out that is not the worst bike. Like, you could, like, that bike is way better than a Suzuki. Way better than a Suzuki. It might be better than a Honda, you know, as far as like power and handling goes. Honda's been having a lot of trouble with their bikes lately. You know, the Honda has always been an underpowered machine in the 250 class, which is hard to deal with because that's a class of power. Like, I remember, you know, John had those badass Hondas that he spent a ton of money on at Pro Circuit. And I spent minimal money on Pro Circuit. I had Drewski do my motor, and I got the suspension in-house stuff. I didn't get the factory stuff like John had. And I remember the first time I rode John's bike, I was like, the brake is really, the brakes are incredible. That was the first thing I noticed. The suspension is good, but not as good as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And the motor's slow. And the motor was slow. Like, my bike, that year that Kawasaki, it was like a 2006, I think those bikes were. Kawasaki was like a cheater bike at that point. Like, it was their second version of their 250F. And the thing was incredible. And just with their in-house motor that I could run, you know, pump gas in, that bike was incredible. Like, just incredible. And it's, you know, it always sucks to be in a power deficit in a class like that. And it's hard to deal with. And for them to come out with like a machine that doesn't have a power deficit, handles really good. They did an aluminum spine frame, which the Japanese got rid of fucking 10 years, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Jesus, my years are fucked. But they got rid of that. And imagine,
we're old, man.
How can you imagine like walking into a boardroom at Triumph with all these incredible engineers? Like, because anybody who can build a dirt bike is an incredible, a dirt bike is an incredible machine. Like, a Harley is cool, but it doesn't have near the R&D that a dirt bike has to have. And, you know, for them to walk into that room and tell those engineers, we're going to do something that the Japanese gave up on 20 years ago. Could you imagine if the bike came out and it's like, oh, the thing handles like shit, the frame's too stiff, whatever the case was. They would immediately go, see, this is why they went to the perimeter frame instead of the spine. But instead, the bike is just being raved about how like great it handles. And to me, that's an incredible thing. And like, Harley has the money, they have the engineers, they just don't have the desire.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they got in the works. They keep everything they were working on wrapped up real tight. And so who knows what's happening?
Whatever
honestly.
they have, I would say whatever that is, whatever that packet is that they've been working on, that they're keeping tight, that they're going to release whenever, throw that away and start over. Because whatever you did in that packet is wrong. It's wrong,
well,
period. Because you had these idiots in charge.
Probably. Yes, probably. But the one thing, because they killed the Dyna a while ago, and that, because of Sons of Anarchy, that became extremely popular. And there is no way in hell that they're not working on a new Dyna platform. So what they're going to come up with, I don't know. Like you said, odds are it's not going to be as great as everybody would hope. But I'd really like to see what comes out. Because, like I said, that I guarantee they're working on an updated Dyna platform. So
yeah, I just hope it doesn't have a fucking electric motor in it when it comes out.
Oh, there's no way in hell. There's no way.
No, you couldn't. It's just, to me, they need a complete change up top. They've got to get somebody in there with just a completely different philosophy on where this company is going. They need a new business plan. They need new leadership really fucking bad. Like, that guy has to go. He has to go. It's just, with something like this, heads have to roll. Like, there's just no way. Like, can you imagine, like, what the corporate office was like, what the atmosphere was like when they all got together and watched that video?
Yeah.
It must have been like, oh shit, we're busted. We got caught. That's the way I would think it would go down. I don't think they're sitting there going, oh, this guy, is just a dickhead, or they know what they're doing. They know that they're not catering to their customers, and they got caught. I think, you know, when somebody commits a crime, when they hurt somebody, say I beat you up, the certain type of person who feels bad for injuring another person and they apologize. There's other people who are just sorry that they got caught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, I'm sorry that you feel that you were wronged. Like, that's a person who isn't actually sorry. They're just sorry that they got caught, and they're trying to spin it. And I would imagine that is the atmosphere in that boardroom. I don't know, because they don't have strong leadership anywhere. Like, their main stockholders are Vanguard and BlackRock, so they're not going to get any strong leadership from that. Somebody is going to have to step in and say, you guys all got to go. And I don't know how that happens with a company that's structured this way.
Yeah.
Well, let's call it. I can't see anymore. All right. That's it. We're out of here. Rolling solo on the screen. Fuck yeah, bitch.